well, good Friday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. And this morning we are on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. So good morning to those of you checking us out on the interwebs. My name is Colin Worthington. My guest this morning, a lovely young lady out of Whitesburg. She's an active member of the Friends of Whitesburg Public Library, volunteer at the Friends Bookstore, Harvey's House of Books. Here's where it gets really interesting. Not that that wasn't interesting, too, but she's been nominated for Chicago's Jefferson Award for Best Actress. Her novel for young adults, Speed of Light, won the Sidney Taylor Award for older readers. As a writer, her film narration was nominated for an Academy Award. She won an Emmy for Best Writing on the daytime serial Guiding Light. Most recently, she co-wrote the screenplay with Ethan Hawke for the movie Blaze, which Hawke directed, and which is based on her living in the woods in a tree, a memoir about life in a Carroll County treehouse with Texas music legend Blaze Foley. She's also, most recently, March 21st, put out a book called Carpenter's Helper, and we'll talk a little bit about that during this second segment as well. The big, I guess, we'll say this is the money shot here. She'll be performing The Belle of Amherst by William Luce. That'll be 2 o'clock Saturday, November 12th at Whitesburg United Methodist Church. That's located at 480 Church Street, directly across from Whitesburg Elementary. No tickets or reservations are necessary. However, you'll be encouraged to make some donations to support the Whitesburg Public Library and the Whitesburg Care Fund Christmas Angels. My guest this morning is Sybil Rosen. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and I thought it was very cool that Jackie Pate set this up. She mentioned this about 3 weeks ago. For a while there, I was so excited because I thought it was last Friday. So I was like, "Hey, I'm rewatching Blaze." It's kind of early, isn't it? I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Next Friday." But I'm glad we worked it out. And plus, you avoided the Hurricane Nicole.
Well, we were just in Sarasota performing the Belle of Amherst, and so we got out of Dodge just in time. I mean, we were driving through the tropical storm, but
we are glad you made it.
Yes, I am too.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you for being here. Again, that performance is tomorrow. Well, tell us about this performance on Saturday. Belle of Amherst. How did you get interested in Emily Dickinson? Who this is? I'm guessing this is based on another book. Yeah.
It's the play. It's a play that was written by William Luce in 1976, and I think like everyone, I read Emily Dickinson in high school, college, but it wasn't really until I encountered the play that I got extremely interested in her life and the way that she shaped it in order to become the poet that she became. And also the play, if you come to the play, almost every word that in the play is from her. It's either her poetry, her journals, her letters. So the language of the play is so beautiful. And as an actor, to be able to just come out and ride those words from beginning to end, it's just a marvelous experience. And
it's suiting that you suspect people who support the library are going to be interested in Emily Dickinson a little bit.
Yes, I mean, that is the hope. And we find that many of the audiences have wonderful questions about her and her life. And I mean, she was born in 1830, so almost 200 years later, we're still talking about her and still puzzled by who she was. And I don't know that we'll ever exactly unravel that mystery, but I was very drawn to her writing life, and it was one of the things that I wanted to bring about. This in the play that I do now. The Belle of Amherst is probably 3 hours long, and first of all, I knew I couldn't memorize 3 hours of those words, and so I cobbled it down to an hour. It's 2 acts with a short intermission of so each act is about 30 minutes long. And but what you'll learn about her in the play is what was known in 1976. There's just so much more information out there. I was going to ask,
is we see books are updated and stories are updated. Again, even though these people have been gone for 200 years, we still find books that update and give us more things that are supposedly new.
It's fascinating because the biographers, because they're each hoping to find that key that opens the mystery, so they look at all kinds of things. One biographer looked at her medical records. which was very fascinating, and made the, suggested that she might have had epilepsy. And then another biographer read the letters that the people in the village wrote about her to come up with these anecdotes about her behavior and how she was viewed, so that everyone's looking, for the revelation that will show us who she was. And I'm not sure that was what she intended
but
at all.
You're not straying from that 1976 book then, as far as your performance.
No, what really fascinated me about her and what I was reading about her outside of the play is how animated and funny and alive she was. I think we think of her as this sort of wraith, wandering around her house, writing brilliant things, but that's about it. Well, her life was so much deeper and fuller than we could imagine. She made her life very narrow. She never left her house, but
that's kind of their upbringing, right? Was that? Didn't her...
Well, perhaps if she was epileptic, that may have contributed to that. But I think that I think it's every artist's struggle. How do you create a life that will allow you to make art, not just in the financial realm of sustaining your life? She didn't have that problem. Her father was quite wealthy. But how do you stay in that frame, in that realm of creativity, while you're peeling apples and feeding the dog? And it's a real puzzle for artists, and it was hers as well.
Sybil Rosen, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. She has a performance of the Belle of Amherst on Saturday in Whitesburg. It'll be at the Whitesburg United Methodist Church. Interactions with the audience, do you stay in character for a lot of that?
Oh yes, the premise of the play is that the audience has come to visit her. So when she first comes out, she's really scared, and then slowly she becomes used to the audience. And yes, there's a lot there. She asks the audience questions. Sometimes they get answered, which is really interesting when that happens. But it's very much about her connecting to the people that have come to visit her.
And at the end, like you said, they do ask questions. You stay in character for those too?
No.
Okay.
I don't. Because sometimes people say to me, well, do you channel Emily Dickinson? And I'm like, well, I wouldn't really presume to channel her. Although what's so wonderful about performing the play is that for an hour, I get to be a genius. It's, again, those words, to be able to say those words, it's almost like singing. It just has a musicality, and she was so smart about life. And so what I do to prepare to go on is I put on the dress. I have this beautiful white dress, 1800s, that the costumer for the movie Blaze made for me, bless him. And I put on that wig so that I have that extremely unflattering hair that those poor women had to wear in those days. And I try to get very quiet inside, and then I just go out and say the words and let them take me through the play.
You did perform this I guess pre-pandemic, right? In Whitesburg?
Oh yes, we did. We did about 20-some shows before the pandemic, and then we had a break of 2.5 years. So when we went to Sarasota last week, I hadn't done it in front of an audience in 2.5 years. So when I came out in the opening of the play, not only was Emily scared, I was scared too. It was just like being shot out of a cannon, but it was a good show, and the audience was quite wonderful.
Now you say we. You have somebody else that performs
yes.
with you, and I've seen. Is it Bobby
I have
Toub?
Bobby Toub. She is my stage manager, my music director, because we have music that it opens and closes each act, and my support. And she has been so helpful in after every play. Every show we debrief and we talk about what went well and what was new and all of that. So I have that mirror, which you have the experience of what happens between you and the audience. So you know something about what just happened when you get off at the end. But then to have someone who knows the play and knows you so well reflect back about how the play is growing or where it's not growing. So she's been a marvelous help.
Sybil Rosen, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Tomorrow she'll be performing the Belle of Amherst about Emily Dickinson. She'll be presenting herself as Emily Dickinson to benefit the Friends of the Whitesburg Public Library. That event is 2 o'clock tomorrow, November 12th, at the Whitesburg United Methodist Church, located at 480 Church Street, directly across from Whitesburg Elementary. Again, no tickets or reservations are required, but donations will be appreciated and will support the Whitesburg Public Library and the Whitesburg Care Fund Christmas Angels. Time right now is 8:41. We'll go ahead and take our first break and then talk about her work as an author, some books that she's written recently for all ages, it seems like, right?
Yes.
We'll talk about those after this first break, but again, we'll continue to remind you about the Belle of Amherst, which is coming up tomorrow. 8:41. If you do have questions or comments, feel free to post those to the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page, and I will share them with our guest momentarily. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
As a believer in the power of education, we are called to set the standard by shaping and empowering the minds of future generations through quality education. Oak Mountain Academy embraces this philosophy, which is why my children attend this prestigious school. I am elated to serve on the OMA Board of Trustees, where together we prepare students and remind them to trust and believe in the power to transform the world. I'm Dr. Brian Bain, inviting you to celebrate our 60-year legacy of academic excellence. Visit us at oakmountain.us.
Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Also streaming live online at newstalk1330.com, and this morning on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. I'm Colin Worthington. My guest is Sybil Rosen. She is performing the Belle of Amherst tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Saturday, November 12th. It'll be at Whitesburg United Methodist Church, 480 Church Street. And you don't have to pay any money. You don't have to make reservations. But, donations are encouraged and appreciated, and we'll support the Whitesburg Public Library and the Whitesburg Care Fund Christmas Angels. Do you know what the Whitesburg Care Fund Christmas Angels are?
Yes, they are. I think they work with the Christian ministries out of Whitesburg, and they help children who need a bigger Christmas have a bigger Christmas.
We have a lot of those groups here locally. A lot of people contribute to those things. So good. That's a good thing to promote. In your introduction, to talk about you recently, let me start out with this one. Your most recent book, called Carpenter's Helper, was put out March 21st, and it's a children's book.
It's a picture book, yes.
And what was the motivation behind that?
Around the book?
What motivated you to do a picture book?
Well, I was very lucky to work with an editor, Ann Schwartz, on an earlier book called Speed of Light, which is a chapter book for kids. And then after the movie Blaze came out, she and I reunited, and she said, "Why don't you write a book for me?" And so this story came to my mind, which I had heard years ago, and it's a true story, and it's a simple story about a carpenter. But so I transposed it for kids. So it's about a little girl who is helping her father renovate their bathroom, and a pair of wrens builds a nest in the bathroom. So they have to quit working. And then she gets to watch the whole process of the eggs and the hatching and then the fledging. And then in the end, she's able to help the birds fly away. And but she makes the connection that her father is a carpenter and that the wrens are carpenters too, that she watches them build their house. So she becomes not only her father's helper, but the wren's helper.
Very cute. Do we call you Whitesburg's Sybil Rosen when we promote your book?
Sure,
'Cause
absolutely.
You are in Whitesburg. You're living
Oh,
in
yes.
Whitesburg.
I love Whitesburg.
There's another book. It says the novel for young adults, Speed of Light.
That's Speed of Light.
Young adults? What's that about? Was it for young adults?
Yes,
Oh,
it's for
okay.
young adults, and that is about that takes place in Virginia in the 50s, and it's about a girl who is 11 who is living in her house. She lives with an aunt who is a Holocaust survivor, and she doesn't really know a lot about this woman's past, and at the same time, her father is getting involved in the civil rights movement in Lynchburg, which was based on a lot of things that happened in Lynchburg, was remarkably progressive for a small town. And so in the course of the things that happen, because of the pressure of her father trying to change things in her town, she begins to learn more about her aunt. And the story is really about how they two come together and become friends.
And I'm sure it's available at all our local bookstores here in Carrollton, right? Underground Books.
I think you could probably order it through them. Yes. Yeah.
Order it through them. Yes. Order it through them.
Absolutely.
Also, something that caught my attention here: you won an Emmy for Best Writing on the daytime serial Guiding Light. What was that storyline?
You know, everybody focuses on that, and it was certainly an interesting period of my life. But I'm sure this is going to be heresy for all the people who loved soaps, but it's really it's a little like having a low-grade fever all the time writing for soaps because of the pressure, but also because, in my humble opinion, people on soap operas never learn anything. They just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And for a writer, that's not very interesting. But I worked with a wonderful group of writers, so that was a lot of fun, and it was it was fascinating. I mean, I lived in a small town in upstate New York at the time, and people would be approaching me in the grocery store because they knew that I was writing for Guiding Light,
what's happening.
And they would be like, "What's going to happen to Reba?" Yeah. And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just the writer." Like they'll let me know when the time comes, but there was so much interest in those stories. I mean, it's just a remarkable endurance of affection for those soap operas.
Well, I remember coming home from grade school and middle school and watching was General Hospital. Yeah, so on 3
yeah,
o'clock, watching that with
me
my
too.
mom.
Yes,
and then I had this big gap. Didn't watch it at all for a while. But then, like in 1995, I was going to college, and in our Concordian, which was our newspaper, our writing room, we brought a TV in there, and we'd watch Days of Our Lives every day. And that was when Marlena was being possessed by the devil and things like that.
It's so funny because you can have that gap where you don't watch it, and then you come back to it, and you know exactly what's going on.
Happen, yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, nobody ever really evolves.
Somebody fell out of an airplane. They didn't find their body, but we had to assume they were dead. But 5 years later, they came back.
Yeah,
and they just had
exactly.
amnesia. And that was it. All right, Sybil Rosen, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Next segment, we're going to talk about the screenplay she co-wrote with Ethan Hawke, a movie he directed. The movie was called Blaze. It was based on her book called Living in the Woods in a Tree, and it's a memoir about life in a Carroll County treehouse with Texas music legend Blaze Foley. Again, our guest is Sybil Rosen. She is performing the Belle of Amherst tomorrow at 2 o'clock at the Whitesburg United Methodist Church, located at 480 Church Street, directly across from Whitesburg Elementary School. Again, no tickets or reservations are required, but donations will be appreciated and will support the Whitesburg Public Library and the Whitesburg Care Fund Christmas Angels. 8:50. We'll come back with about 9 minutes on this morning's Community Voice program. Oh, let me promote this, too, for Jackie Pate before I forget. The first annual Whitesburg Founders Day car show is coming up Saturday. Oh, that would be tomorrow, too. 9 o'clock until 2 o'clock. A car show, all makes and models. Prizes are awarded. There's a 50-50 raffle, vendor booths, food trucks. There's a bake sale located at 60 Boosterfield Drive in Whitesburg, 30185. You want to put that in your GPS. Bring something old or bring something new. You can contact the police chief for more information at 404-693-0069. And there will be a guest judge there who's a NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, Mason Massey. Again, that event from 9 o'clock until 2. Tomorrow, the first annual Whitesburg Founders Day car show. We'll be back with about 8 minutes now after this break.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
I'm Michael Flynn, Oak Mountain Academy class of 1978.
Katie Flynn, class of 2010.
Justin Flynn, class of 2014.
Logan Flynn, class of 2019.
And I'm Marnie Flynn, current teacher at OMA.
My uncle Richard Owen Flynn, a founding father of Oak Mountain Academy, had a vision to see students become confident leaders who hold a faith-based value system in an academically rigorous environment. We are proud to celebrate 60 years of fulfilling my uncle's vision.
Our family invites you to visit the campus or oakmountain.us today.
Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. Time right now, 8:52. I'm Colin Worthington. My guest this morning, Sybil Rosen. Again, she is performing the Belle of Amherst play about Emily Dickinson. It'll be at the where will it be? Whitesburg United Methodist Church tomorrow at 2 o'clock, located 480 Church Street. That's directly across from Whitesburg Elementary School. It's to benefit the Friends of the Whitesburg Public Library. It's about 7.5 minutes here in the program, and I got so many places I can go with our next topic. Okay, you wrote a book called Life in a Carroll County Treehouse.
Living in the woods in a tree.
There you go. Is that what it is? Are
Yeah.
you sure, Sybil? You should be able to say it? All right. Tell us about that, and explain why I'm so fascinated with this story.
Well, when I was 24, I lived in Carroll County, and I fell in love with a young country musician who later became a Texas music legend, Blaze Foley. But at the time, we lived in a little treehouse over by Roopville, which was heaven. And then later we went to Austin and then Chicago, and I was privileged to watch Blaze evolve and watch him write his first songs and then watch that grow and become more deeper and fuller and richer. It was an incredible experience as a young person. And then we broke up, and about a decade later, he died tragically. He was shot and killed in Austin. And then another decade goes by, and lo and behold, someone is making a documentary film about Blaze Foley, who, when he died, was quite an obscure musician.
That was the Duct Tape?
The Duct Tape Messiah. And the documentarian is Kevin Triplett. And so he got in touch with me, and I said to him, I haven't heard Blaze's music in so long, because at the same time, it wasn't, at that time, it wasn't really accessible. And
but when you heard those songs, did you hear it?
I heard them at the beginning, but mostly I heard them live.
Yeah.
And there were many songs I didn't hear. There were all these songs that he had written after we broke up that I never heard at the time. So he sent me this music of Blaze's, and I'm telling you that from the very first note, I don't know whether he rushed into me or he rushed out of me, but I was completely haunted. And it all came out of that music and his voice. And so I was compelled to come back to Georgia. I was living in upstate New York at the time, and I was compelled to come back to Georgia and try to understand what had happened between us and what happened after we were parted. I came back to Georgia, Whitesburg, and I knew immediately that I was home. And I ended up falling in love and getting married to an old friend of Blaze's. It's a story. So I started writing, and out of that writing, I was able to deal with my grief and my regret, and and also have the experience of falling in love with him again, which was pretty wonderful. So that became the memoir, Living in the Woods in a Tree. And then it was out for about 8 years. And then one day I get this email that says, Ethan Hawke is interested in your memoir. Can I give him your email address? I think I wrote back something like, are you kidding me? Like, of course. And so that began the adventure of making the film.
And that movie is it's available. I don't think it's on Amazon, but I think it's on AFC anyway. So the IFC streaming.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it still airs on like their regular TV channel, but it last time I saw it was on IFC.
Yeah.
And it is just called Blaze.
Blaze.
By Ethan
Yes.
Hawke. Is the Treehouse still there?
No, and I have gone looking for it so many times.
Yeah.
It's
So
it's
you
all
don't know what happened
changed
to it.
back there. There's a woman who lives in that neighborhood that I was able to connect to, and she told me in the 80s when she was a little girl, she used to go down and play in that treehouse. But I suspect it just sort of melted into the landscape eventually, And it's very changed back there. They put in a vehicle road and all the flooding, and I would love to revisit that, but you can only revisit the past in your own memory and your own heart. So that's.
We only have 3 minutes, and I told you this before the show. I mean, I've always been a fan of the tortured, drunken documentaries, tortured, drunken poets. I've always just been fascinated with those, and I'll seek those out. But as I was thinking about talking to you, I was like, for me to say that I like that story. I mean, it's like it's not fair to you for me to actually say that. I don't think.
Well, I don't know about fair. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's something
that's
that
how
you lived,
feel.
and it wasn't so comfortable for you maybe going through that.
It was extremely painful to watch someone so gifted sabotage themselves, and it's also, as Blaze in his afterlife became a legend, so much of it had to do with his music, but it also had to do with his story and the fact that for part of his adult life he was homeless and derelict and addicted, and that is extremely painful to recognize. I mean, it's part of what I had to reckon with, is what was my part in his fate.
Tell me 3 songs real quick, and then I'm going to promote your event one more time. But 3 songs that people should go check out at Blazes if they haven't heard his music.
I would say Clay Pigeons, If I Could Only Fly, and gosh, there are so many. But there's one song called Rainbows and Ridges, which is a wonderful song as well.
And there's been some great covers, too. I mean, John Prine covered him. Of
Oh,
course,
yes.
Willie Nelson.
The Kings of Leon.
Kings of Leon, and I'm Your Man. Who's that guy? Shoot, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Not George Michael, I'm Your Man. It's another guy. Can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Oh, well, a lot of covers. We got 1 minute left, so let me shout this out one more time. All right, Sybil Rosen will be performing The Belle of Amherst. It's a woman play about Emily Dickinson. It'll be tomorrow at 2 o'clock at the Whitesburg United Methodist Church, located 480 Church Street, directly across from the Whitesburg Elementary School. No tickets or reservations are required, but donations will be appreciated, and we'll support the Whitesburg Public Library and the Whitesburg Care Fund Christmas Angels. So go check that out. Pack that place tomorrow, again at 2 o'clock. So it was great to meet you. Great to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening to this morning's Community Voice and watching us on the Facebook Live program. Stay dry and, I guess, tied down this afternoon. And we'll be back on Monday with more Community Voice.